your finger, your two index, and you drop them right over the front of the rim, and then you say to yourself, I like to get paid. I like to get paid. And every time you shoot it, I like to get paid.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I've been wanting to watch this really, really bad for the last couple of days, but I've been waiting to make a video on it, so it's a pure reaction with you guys. This is from the OGs podcast. And I'm really, really excited about this one. This is Pat Riley. Pat Riley on the show with the OGs. And I saw Pat Riley when he was making the speech for that terrible Dwayne Wade statue. And he was talking to Haslem in the stand, in the crowd. And he was like congratulating him on everything he's doing and saying, like, you know, basically saying, I'll be on the show soon. So here's Pat Riley, man of his word. This is going to be one of those longer form videos because there's a bunch of sections in here I want to check out. The first one is going to be coaching Udonis. Then we got manifesting a title, which I really want to see because I'm a big fan of the Miami Heat before the Big Three happened. So and that's when Pat Riley was coaching the team. D Wade was the man. Shaq was there. Building the Big Three, I want to check out. Bosh importance, the decision, all that. There's a lot of stuff on here I want to watch, guys. So it's probably going to be like an hour-long video, but it's going to be good stuff. Without further ado, I want to get into this. So I'm linking the original video from the OGs podcast down below in the description box, like I always do. So if you want to check out their channel, go right ahead right there. If you want to watch this full video, it's right there for you. There's the link. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. It helps out a ton, especially when these videos launch. It pushes it out real fast. You guys have been doing awesome, and I really, really appreciate you guys having a blast. Let's do it. I want to see what this is. So starting out with coaching Udonis Haslem.
For $15 off your first order.
You know, back then, you're back in the 2000s. I remember when you walked in the gym for that tryout in that summer. You came back from Europe. I said, who's that? That's the guy who played at Florida. I said, oh, the guy at Florida, there's 300 pounds, but he could rebound. He was smart. He could run, but he was a little big, you know.
God damn, kid, it ain't that funny. Your ass up.
He was there. And then you had gone.
Too bad Mike Miller couldn't be in the studio for this one.
To Europe, and you came into our summer league for a workout, rookie workout, tryout, and that was it. I saw you, and I said, okay. I said, what are we going to do? I'll offer you a contract. And I would never forget you saying this to me. You said, Coach, you know, I like it here. I was raised in Miami, but I got to go to San Antonio. I promised Pop I'd come down for a workout, and I'm going to. I said, Pop, get him, that'll be it. I'll be gone. He'll be out of here. And you went down, did your workout, and then you came back and signed with us, and here it is 20 years later. And
oh, wow.
But the best thing for me is when we were in Puerto Rico, and I saved it up for Puerto Rico. We went down there, Mike, and we're playing in a preseason game down there in Puerto Rico. And we had a good team because it's right after Zoe got sick, and I loved that first team that we had. But then we went down there, and it was Dwayne, it was Caron Butler,
Yes.
It was Eddie Jones, Brian Grant, Lamar Odom. Okay, pretty good
Odom, yeah.
group of young guys to start with.
Really good team.
Yeah, and then so I'm announcing the starting lineup, and I named Dwayne, Eddie, Caron, Brian Grant, and everybody's. Lamar starts to take one step out there. I said, nope, UD. And not because Lamar wasn't a hell of a player.
Yes.
He's one of the all-time best players. But he would be great coming off the bench. And so the day that UD walked into that starting lineup, it's because he worked his ass off to get there. I loved that team. Of course, we made the trade that we had to make to get Shaq and won our championship. But you were a part of that. Yeah. So
I got to go back to the part about me not being able to shoot. I got to give you credit. Do you remember that day I was in the gym shooting and I was ball watching?
Oh, yeah.
And you said, why the fuck you, excuse me,
Yeah.
you said, why the fuck you keep looking at the ball?
Right.
And I said, because I'm shooting the ball. And he was like, no, keep your eye on the basket.
Right.
And I think that day, not saying I was ever the greatest shooter, but I think that day made me a capable shooter, a better shooter.
Yeah.
And shit, 15, 17 feet,
Yeah.
If the wind wasn't blowing, that's cash.
No, it's cash. Mike was
That's funny because that's such a fundamental thing. Look at the rim. Look at the hoop. It's just like if you're firing a gun or something like that. Look at the target. I thought I had something else to say there. I don't.
he was a sniper.
Yes.
You know.
Oh yeah. All I was gonna say is UD, man. He actually had a good mid-range jumper. He was like straight away, especially right around the free throw line. He was solid.
He was a sniper.
Yes.
But you around that 15-foot area, you developed a shot.
You told me that.
Absolutely. But I was taught that when you shoot the ball, that you keep your eye right on the front of the rim or the back of the rim, and then you just, the follow through. On the follow through is to take your finger, your two index, and you drop them right over the front of the rim, and then you say to yourself, I like to get paid. I like to get paid. And every time you shoot it, I like to get paid. And, it gives you a positive energy about those shots going in and everything. But you made the biggest shots in the fourth quarter in 2006 when we needed them, man. You 2 jumpers, elbow jumper, corner jumper, and then that offensive rebound that you made that helped us stave off the Mavericks in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
And you told me that night. Do you remember what you told me before that game?
Yeah.
You told me I was going to have a big game.
Big game.
You told me don't think about it. You told me be ready to shoot. You're going to be open, and that you're going to help win this
You're
series.
never afraid, UD. So, I know when there are players, a coach knows when there are players that might be fearful of that moment. When you're playing for the title, when you're playing for it, and you got a chance to win the championship, man, that changes players' mentality. Sometimes it changes a coach's mentality too. And so you weren't afraid to win at the biggest moment. Dwayne wasn't afraid to win. All of those players that we had at that time, GP wasn't.
Yeah.
Pose wasn't. Antoine wasn't.
Alonzo.
J. Will wasn't. J. Will was a little scattery, at times. But
J. Will wasn't consistent. Alonzo is the unsung hero. He's the unsung hero of those finals, though. Shaq was struggling during the finals, big time. Alonzo came out and gave prime time defense. He was blocking the hell out of everybody, getting rebounds like crazy. Him and UD together, they dominated the paint. It was awesome. But yeah, we got Gary Payton hungry as all hell. White Chocolate was inconsistent, but when he was on, he was on. And Dwayne Wade out there showing why he was about to be one of the greatest players of all time.
Shaq wasn't, you weren't, and we ended up winning that title, and that was the first, and it was a group of guys that weren't afraid to win, and that was what it's all about, man.
And did you remember telling us that we were going to be champs on June 20th?
Well, I had to think of something.
How the hell?
We just
did
got
you
our
know
ass
that.
kicked.
Damn.
Well,
we had just lost. And
know,
you said that we're going to be champions on June. Now, we sit in the locker room like, what? Did he just see what we saw? We just got our asses handed to us. And you said that we're going to be champions on June 20th.
I don't know. I think coaches have to find a way to plant a seed for something that's positive that's down the road. So we got beaten the first 2 games badly. And I think, well, what am I going to do? And I know GP at that time was a little bit cantankerous in the locker room after the game. And when I put that up on the board, 6/20/06, and I said, well, that's the first day that any team can win the championship, and we're going to win it that day. I said, we're going to win it on that date. So I just sort of put it out there to give you something to think about, that there's a goal that we can do this, and that's the day we're going to win it.
Yep.
And I remember, Gary was in the back of the locker room, and so he said, "Oh, that's great. So, but Pat, how are you going to help us get there?" And I said, "Gary," and I try to keep it simple. I said, "Gary," I said, "Look, if you believe in us and you believe in that date, just follow me. Now, I'm gonna lead you there. I'm gonna take you there, Gary." Gary's a little cynical,
Yeah.
But
hey, man, to be fair, Gary at that point had been to the finals twice. Yeah, once with the Sonics, lost to Jordan, and then once with the Lakers, lost to the Pistons. So this is a 3rd time to the finals. He is probably feeling cynical, down 0-2. I don't blame him. What was the slogan Pat Riley had for that team? Was it 15 strong? The next man up mentality, but I think it was 15 strong.
but I love him. I saw him at the Hall of Fame the other night. And I don't have it with me right now, but he pulled out his 15 strong card.
There it
and
is.
his Warrior card.
There it
it's
is.
like a credit card that everybody carries.
His Warrior? Warrior?
15 strong card and his Warrior card. It's like a credit card that everybody carries.
One of the best guys I've ever played with.
Yeah, I'm not GP.
Never back down.
Nope.
What I love about him. Remember, you kicked us out that day we were fighting. So both of you get the fuck out of here. Both of you get the
No,
fuck
because
out.
you guys were real. You see, there's guys who fight and there's guys who swing.
Yeah,
We
were
swing
gonna
and
go at it.
miss,
We were gonna
and
go at it.
hopefully, how many can come get in between here somewhere or something like that, But anyhow, let me just we can finish this part because I think you asked a very good question about how do you get players do certain things, and I made a point about players having to get out of themselves and sacrifice and be part of the team and accept their roles. It's not easy. Everybody wants to climb that ladder,
Yes.
they do, and but the most important thing is that you guys allowed me a certain power, a certain part of me to be able to go hard at us. Be honest with us.
Yes.
You didn't mind as long as you thought I was saying the truth. Now my truth as a head coach and your truth as a starting power forward, Shaq's truth as the center, Dwayne, whoever's playing, we all have sort of a different truth about us, and that's born out of like where we come from, and we all get there in a different manner. But once we get there and you mix that salad up, it all has to come together, and that's the beauty of that team. That was the beauty of the big three, and all of those guys coming together too, and it works. And even teams that may not be championship contenders, we all go in with a very positive training camp mentality. We're going to win, and a lot of players, we ain't going to win nothing. But you go in with that mentality, you're going to win, and somewhere during the course of the season, you can.
Yeah.
You believe you can win.
Yes.
When you get to the playoffs, you can beat anybody.
Yes.
And we proved that, And so I've been in that situation a lot of times where, nobody thought we were going to win. I always thought we would win. I knew these guys would buy in, and once they bought into everything, then you got a chance to win. And it isn't just because you got a lot of talent.
Mindset.
And and as I said, we've always had a lot of talent on those championship teams, but we also have had times where we got to the Eastern Conference Finals where we didn't have that much talent, and it was teamwork. You can win it sometimes, you do,
Yes.
Yes.
Think about the 04 Pistons. I mean, yes, there's talent there for sure, but not the extreme level of talent that the Lakers had. But they had that winning mindset, while the Lakers had internal struggles going on, and their focus wasn't all there. I just think it's awesome because it really is a situation like that where if you believe and the messaging is positive, the sky's the limit. You can manifest that winning mentality, and that winning mentality can lead to all kinds of greatness. That's what happened with that team. You see certain teams or certain players that already have built-in excuses, they're already basically excusing their loss before they've even played the game. And those are players where I'm like, yeah, it's already over for you, cash you guys out. See you next year. But if you're the underdog and you're just always believing we can win, like Pat says, we can do this, then the expectation is to win. If you don't win, you're disappointed. It doesn't matter if you're the underdog at that point.
I mean, when we talk about the championships that we won, we've all had big moments outside of the bigger guys.
Yeah.
I had my moment. Mike had his moment.
Right.
Shane Battier had his moment.
Absolutely.
Mario had his moment.
Please bring up
Ray
Zoe.
Allen had his moment, even though he's a Hall of
just
Fame.
hit him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has had their moment, and if you don't buy in, you're not ready for your moment.
Yeah.
If you're not 4 feet
You're
in,
right.
we can say 2 feet in.
You're right.
I like to say 4 feet in. If you're not 4 feet in, then you're not ready for your moment.
Yeah.
I remember me and Shane used to go back and forth in the playoffs, and one series would be a series for him, and
Yep.
one series might be a series for me.
That's right.
And I had his back every single time. All right,
Battier?
strength and honor, brother. Let's go. It's your time.
But you like each other. You see, we also had guys, who liked each other. There are some teams where, they can get it done on the court and then they get off the court and they never see each other. But you guys genuinely liked one another, and I think that's that's really important. And so, having somebody always step up in their role, and their role might be a certain thing, and we leave everything to Dwayne, or we leave everything to Shaq, or you leave everything to somebody else at that particular time. You stepped out of your role, and all of a sudden you played, bigger than what your role was. Just like you made the point about Shane making 6 threes in the 7th game, and Mike Miller,
Yes.
Making that 3 right in front of me while he dropped his shoe.
Yes.
Yes. And I almost went down on the court and got the shoe myself and threw it back at him.
He couldn't bend over and get it himself with that badass back.
I know.
He was broken by then.
No, he's a courageous player. Mike was, I had a bad back, so I knew how hard it is when you have one that goes out. It just spasms up on you and gets so tight that, you're taking opioids left and right just to loosen it up. I hate to bring that subject up, but, we all have done it, to play.
You got to do what you got to do to get
Yeah,
out there.
it's dangerous.
I'm happy you touched on the big 3, because as we talk about sacrifice.
As they go into the big 3, I just want to bring up, I've never seen UD on such good behavior. There's an obvious level of respect that he has for Pat Riley, and it's cool to see. He even apologized when he cursed. Earlier, he was like, wow, I'm sorry. It's freaking awesome.
I remember that specific summer, and so many teams were, and then me and Dwayne just talked about this the other day. So many teams were saving up and gearing up money to bring in 2 superstars.
Right.
2 superstars, and it was public. Right. Everybody's, New York has the opportunity to bring in 2 superstars. I think Atlanta had the opportunity to bring. It was so many teams that had the opportunity to bring in 2 superstars, and everybody was taking these trips around and visiting these organizations. And I didn't know this, but Dwayne told me this. It was never out in the public. It was never out in the open. But then it kind of got to Dwayne, and that Miami has the opportunity to sign 3 stars. The great Andy Ellisberg. We have to give him his flowers.
Absolutely. Well, in 2006, the year that we won the title was the year that LeBron and Dwayne and Chris Bosh all signed their extensions. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence they were all represented by CAA.
Yes.
So they all signed.
True.
And then we took the contracts. We took a look at the contracts with options and all that stuff, and we saw that each one of them would be free agents in 2010. So I said, Andy, okay, we got this 3-4 years from now. I said, unless we trade for one of them, I think one day we might have an opportunity to sit at the table with LeBron, with Chris and Dwayne, or all 3 of them. And so from that day on, Andy went to work making sure that we would have the cap space in 2010 to sign all 3 of them. And a lot of people said, well, the Heat can't sign 3 of them. The people forgot that one of them was ours, that we had, they had bird rights on Dwayne, so we could sign him last. And so a lot of people didn't think that we were ever going to be able to get all 3 of them. And I was confident because, look, LeBron was banging his head against the wall for 7 years in Cleveland, getting to the finals, doing everything he could do.
Yes.
They just couldn't beat certain teams, at the time. Chris was doing the same thing for 7 years, beating his head against the wall, Toronto, and playing great and trying to win.
Great.
Dwayne had won one, and so this was an opportunity for these players in their prime, 25, 27, 27, to come together and then to have you and get Mike, that first year. I still think we should have won the first year, but anyhow, you go back and look at it. But
no, 100%. We know they should have won the first year. They were Goliath, and the Mavs, man. LeBron choked that finals. Is what it is.
Andy has been a person who not only knows talent, but he, basketball operations, the operations, manual and how you run your organization, cap, what's going on today. You need somebody, a scientific mathematician to understand the cap today. But Mandy is great. Andy's great, and he's really been so important to me. But that was just getting those 3 and to have that summer I never forget. That's when the term came out.
Nah.
A guy by the name of Stephen Covey wrote a book called First Things First. And so, and out of that book, the very first line in that book was, the main thing is to make sure the main thing remains the main thing.
I remember that.
And so when I pitched that to LeBron and Leon Rose and Maverick Carter and Randy Mims, we're all in a room together we're trying to recruit him. That was our pitch. And when I said that, Maverick looked at LeBron and whispered to him, like, I know that book. It's called First Things First. I think Maverick had already read the book himself, but it was a great day for us.
Man,
I mean, it's like, when we got Zoe, okay, and then we got PJ and Dan Marley and Tim Hardaway. We had that group with Keith Askins.
Okay.
That year. That's right. That was a hell of a team. And then when we got, we built that young team, and then we got Shaq and they get the big three. We had a really good run.
Man,
absolute run.
How was it kept so quiet though? Because everybody was all over ESPN and nobody was speaking about Miami having an opportunity for three.
Yeah.
How did you? How
Well,
was
we
it?
knew it.
You guys knew.
We knew it. Everybody, and Dwayne knew it. I said, Dwayne, you're the linchpin here. I said, don't you think about going back to Chicago? He said,
Yeah.
I said, it's not about, we're going to give you, we had 48 million or whatever it was. Everybody was going to get 16.6. That's what the max was.
Yes.
Today they get 50.
Man, crazy.
But that was a lot back then.
Yeah, there was talk back then too. Like, I remember Amari and Carmelo going over to the Knicks, and I thought it was funny though, because for the Miami Big Three to happen, they had to take a pay cut. They all had to take a little bit of a pay cut, and if I remember correctly, Amari and Melo took $20 million each, and then I saw a thing, like a video of Super Mario of Amari saying to the camera, like, come on, LeBron. Yeah, let's go to New York, LeBron. Come on, let's go. Like, I'm waiting for you. But in the back of my mind was like, you two just sucked up all the money. So no Big Three happening out there. And it didn't. It was just Melo and Amari out there. But I still didn't think there was going to be, Bosh, Wade, and LeBron in Miami. I didn't see that coming. If anything, I thought something was happening in Chicago, because D. Wade seemed really interested in Chicago.
16.6. So we had enough room for three guys and Mike. And we had to trade Michael Beasley. I love Mike.
Yes.
I think Mike, with you group of guys, you see, you would have brought him along in a great way. He might have led the team in scoring.
Ain't no
These
doubt.
Buckets,
What the hell? I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Yeah,
But
Prime Beasley was
we had
badass.
5 guys that we could start that team with, and then we started adding a bunch of minimums and stuff like that. But it wasn't until we got Shane and then Ray and Chris Anderson and
Yes, Bird.
the
Dog.
Birdman.
Can
Oh,
you talk
yeah,
about how
Birdman.
good Chris Bosh was? Because we're huge on this podcast about just giving Chris his flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think people understand. And I think the generation behind Bam, they get on my damn nerves. I hate them. Because they made a comment the other day that Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton than he is to, what's the guy in L.A.? I'm having a brain freeze.
AD?
What's
Anthony
his name?
Davis.
Anthony Davis.
Oh, Anthony Davis.
The
Okay.
generation said that Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton. No disrespect, Nick Claxton. I love your work ethic. I love what you do for your team. But they said Chris
they're
Bosh is
different
closer
guys,
to
though.
Nick Claxton than he is to Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off.
Yeah.
I don't think this generation understands how really good of a basketball player Chris
I'm
Bosh
looking
was.
forward to this.
He's one of a kind. He's unique as a 7-footer.
Yes.
I remember scouting him at Georgia Tech and knew the coach down there and everything. But when he went to Toronto, if you think about him, was really one of the first prototype, stretch bigs, and could also score inside.
Yes.
Incredibly high IQ guy, and just a great player. So when you put a guy in that kind of category, and then he comes to Miami with LeBron and Dwayne, and he was the guy. The three of them really had some issues.
Yeah.
They had to deal with those issues,
Yes.
And I
remember.
talked to him, after that first year, and I said, you guys got to work this stuff out. You can't just have a coach say, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to do it my way. I said, you got to work this out, and there has to be some, as I said, voluntary cooperation on your part that you're all going to accept the role. So it was Bron, it was Dwayne, and it was Chris. And so that's basically how the hierarchy of greatness was. And the players accepted that. And they were all great players.
Yes.
And that was the most important movement for that team, for those guys to, I can remember, that Boston game. Come on, that Boston game. When I think it was Paul Pierce drilled one in LeBron's face, took us back to the 7th game.
Yeah.
LeBron went for 40, 45 or 17 or something. These guys had incredible games. And so Chris, with the big rebound to Ray Allen and the big block for Danny Green.
Good call.
Mike going on a run of threes and Shane going on a run of threes and Dwayne being who Dwayne is. The most fun part of that team for me, I loved it because I wasn't coaching at the time, but the most fun part of it was when we got out on the break.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And Dwayne was on one wing and LeBron, and then Dwayne would be throwing these lobs.
Yeah, it was
then
kind of.
Dwayne would go out of bounds like this, and LeBron would be dunking it. So it reminded me of Showtime in a lot of ways with those three players. But Chris,
I was gonna say it. I didn't want to cut him off, but I was gonna say it. It was kind of those fast breaks were a little bit like Showtime, a little bit like Showtime Lakers.
Chris was without a doubt. If those two players were the real keys, Chris was the one that was the straw that stirred the drink because he sacrificed the most.
Yeah, he 100% sacrificed the most. He went from being a big man, a paint-dominant big man in the post, to a stretch big man who had to plant himself on the wings for the most part. Man, for those of you who don't know Chris Bosh, I think off the top of my head, the best way I can describe it is like a taller Kevin Garnett mixed with a shorter Wemby. Because the dude, he could stretch out the floor and shoot if he wanted to, if he had to. But really, his dominance was in the post. And he had a lot of similar movements to Kevin Garnett. He was just taller. I'd say Kevin Garnett was a little bit stronger. But it's like a hybrid of those two guys. But no, Bosh had to sacrifice his natural game for the team to win. And yeah, it paid off. They got 2 rings out of it, right?
It was.
Welcome back.
Hey,
You do?
I'm
You do
back,
9
Coach.
holes?
That's
or
why
what?
I'm old school. We had technical difficulty. That's why I'm more of an old school guy.
Okay, I'm going to move forward because there's a lot of sections here. I'm going to go to the decision. I think this is going to be funny.
You got enough money.
Whoop his ass. He took all my money. No, so you said he might have leaked the location because D-Wade told us the other day that everybody met in a secret location. You just said L.A. Was that where they met at?
No, that was the first night.
Do you know
first
where
night
the big three met at?
Wait. Just,
Hated for you. I said, okay, who are we going to get next? We made this deal out in L.A. Finally came to an agreement with everybody. And then we had to wait for LeBron to do the decision, but everybody was saying we got to get Mike, and we got to get Mike. Mike was the first guy we had come to terms with, I think.
I remember that.
And so once I got Mike,
he took all my money.
He took all my money. You got enough money.
Whoop his ass. He took all my money. No, so you said he might have leaked the location because D-Wade told us the other day that everybody met in a secret location. You just said L.A. Was that where they met at?
No, that was the first night.
Do you know where the big three met at for their secret location meeting?
Yes, I know where it was. Yeah, I know where it was. You guys went somewhere up to LeBron's place in Cleveland, I think, to meet, didn't you? Yeah. You had that meeting.
We did have a meeting in Cleveland.
That's okay. I couldn't, but it was okay for the players to meet. You can do whatever you want to do, but I couldn't be in that meeting. But I knew you were up there having a discussion about something. Look, it was a big deal for you guys. For Dwayne, for Chris, and for LeBron especially. Probably the top 5, 3 of the top 5 players in the league at the time.
Yes.
And, we're going to give up our own personal platform and sacrifice, for the sake of a championship, and it might blow up in our face. You never know if it's going to work. But
and fourth,
it was just so great, that night that, LeBron went on with Jim Gray and for the decision. I remember being in South Beach, and I was at Red Steakhouse, and then I think Dwayne was down at Prime.
What the hell? Pat Riley is chilling in Miami in a steakhouse watching the decision? Like, everybody knows who Pat Riley is. What the hell?
Or somewhere else. And I'll never forget when he said, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." You could hear the whole place. The city was like, all of a sudden, everybody's out in the streets yelling and screaming. I went out in the street. And then he yelled in the street and called Leon Rose on the phone. I never forget it.
So you didn't know until then?
Huh?
You didn't know until then?
I knew.
Oh, okay. You knew.
Man, there was no way. There's just no way that he could go up there. I didn't know, but there was no way that he could go up there and say, "I'm going to go to like New York or go to Chicago." He could have, but I had a good feeling that he was going to come to Miami.
Yeah. When we reacted to Dwayne Wade's take on the story, it was he had no idea. Like the three of them left it. The big three left it as though they're going to do this. But then LeBron went silent for like a week or something like that leading up to decision. So D Wade was like, I was left in the dark, like it was, it's crazy he did that. But it sounds like he didn't talk to anybody then. He didn't talk to Pat either. It was like they set it all up, and then it was like he just had to make a decision whether he was going to hit the button or not hit the button.
Yeah. We had a ball.
Speaking of that night, Coach.
Yeah.
Speaking of that night, Coach, we have a segment on here from Morgan and Morgan called the Too Easy segment.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious because we talked about this again on D Wade's thing as well. When LeBron got on stage and talked about not winning one, but not two, but 3, but 4,
Okay.
all the way up to 7. All but 7, and I'm sitting there, and I know I'm about to sign with Miami the next couple of days. I'm like, what am I walking into? What was your mindset when he did that?
Well, I didn't mind it at all. I mean, we had a packed house.
I know you love that.
Mike McCullough, who's just a super marketing guy for us, put this whole thing together. You guys come up on stage, and there's smoke, and there's fans are going crazy. I mean, those things don't happen that often in the NBA, and to be able to celebrate it before it even starts was great. But I don't mind, and I think he was kidding, but I don't mind people saying we're going to win. 1987, we beat the Celtics.
Yeah.
It was the best team that we had.
He said we're coming back and doing it again next year.
That team had matured in 1987 to be in the best they could be as a team. We won 67 games that year. And we won the title. And after 4 championships, I remember saying to the media at the parade, I guarantee that next year we're going to win it again. Right. And I meant it. And
the team was pissed at him, by the way. The team was so pissed off at him because that was their moment of celebration. And that was like their moment of relief. And then all of a sudden they had the weight of the world on their shoulders all over again. A whole new expectation to come back and repeat. I've heard him talk about this before. But I don't know, man. Me personally, I think there's a difference between saying we're gonna win one, like I'm gonna bring a championship to Miami or whatever. But then when you go to 7, not 7, that was a little bit of a stretch. It's not like Pat Riley said to the crowd, all right, that was a great championship. We're going to come back the next 6 years, and we're going to win 6 more. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, you don't do that.
Important because for 20 years, nobody's ever gone back to back. And for 20 years, nobody ever wanted to say anything about, okay, what's going to happen next year? And so the reason why I said it, and I thought a lot about it, is that I wanted to put more pressure on that team than they've ever had on them. If you guys think you're as great as you are, you can win back-to-back titles. You got to do it. And we're not going to write it down as a goal. Okay, we all guarantee we're going to win it, and then we're going to stick it in the drawer so nobody else can see it. You got to make it public, but not make it public with a hubris, or an arrogance. No, because we were good.
Yes.
And so I said, and I believed it. I wanted to put pressure on them. Now, they all got upset. The players got upset.
They
said,
should.
Could we just enjoy the summer? Could we go play some golf? Can we go do scuba diving somewhere? And you got to put this kind of pressure on us already. And so I'll never forget, we came back to training camp, and
before he gets into it, I 100% agree with the players on this one. Now, if Pat Riley would have let them celebrate the damn championship, let that weight off of their shoulders, enjoy the summer, and then when the next season started, day one, he could have done it right then because the pressure has begun. The new job has begun. Say, I guarantee you, we're winning back to back. We're coming back this year and we're winning. That would have been totally cool. But yeah, man, to do it right before the offseason started, when they're just trying to celebrate in front of their fans, that was brutal.
And it happened. They were ready, and we ended up going back-to-back titles. And so what LeBron was saying that day, we're not going to win one, we're going to win two, we're going to win three, we're going to win four. I think we could have.
And I'm happy you brought up that.
They should have.
If we would have stayed, I think we could have.
You're absolutely right. Went to 4 straight finals, won 2.
Yeah.
I'm happy you brought up the Lakers, and I'm happy you brought up the Celtics.
Okay. All right. This super long video. Let me see what else we got. I'm curious about this, guys. I've always wondered what got Ray Allen over to the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Speaking of pivotal pieces and additions, another fan question in 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
Another good fan question. I'm thinking, what was the feeling like when you required Ray and got Ray in from Boston in 2012?
Well,
that was such a big piece.
It was a big get for
us.
us. Yeah, it was a big get, Mike. And after getting Shane the year before, and even the thought that.
By the way, that's when it became like a big four, because we called the Boston thing like a big three. And then Miami took one of their three, so it's like a big four now in Miami.
Ray with Boston would come. That was a hard sell. And so we didn't oversell Ray on it. We just sort of let Ray make his decision. And when he came, that obviously upset, Kevin and Paul, from that standpoint. But that was, I think, the significant last get for that team to win back-to-back titles. And to this day, as you know, Mike, you made the inbound pass. I don't know why the inbound pass came to LeBron for the three, but it did. He got one up, and then you got another rebound. You got it back to LeBron, and he took another three, and Chris got the rebound to Ray. And the beautiful thing about Ray Allen, and he used to do these drills. Remember he used to show us these drills.
Everybody talks about it. It's real. So he used to practice that back pedal, catch, and shoot. Everyone has said it. So it's real. He really practiced it, and it became like the biggest shot of his career.
And I was amazed. He'd fall on the floor, get up, go backwards, and make threes. And that's the same thing he did that day. He backed up, and when the ball was in the air, I'll never forget this, from a fundamental standpoint. I'm watching. He's backing up. I saw he's going to step out of bounds. He's backing up, and he lands both of his toes right behind the three-point line. His heels were already off the floor, and when he caught it, he just rose. And it was nothing but
It was beautiful.
And that gold,
awesome.
and that gold rope, they took it right out of there, didn't they?
Yeah, he said it. Get that
rope out of there.
Yeah.
But Ray was a significant.
He's laughing because Haslem's he's catching himself trying not to cuss.
And you got to keep re-energizing the big three with other players that can help them win too.
That was a huge pickup. That was a huge pickup. But I will say this before we move on: we whipped their ass with Ray. We didn't.
I won't use that language.
Well, we didn't need Ray. We beat them the year before when they had Ray. That's all I'm saying. Let's just make that clear.
I'll let you players work it out,
listen,
okay?
Ray came to us, but we won the year before when they had Ray.
Yeah.
So we needed Ray to get over the championship hump. We need Ray to beat their ass.
Yeah. They won their title with Ray, and then we got him, and then we won our title with Ray down here. And Ray was, one of the great things about having Ray here, we had that gala down at Ray's house.
Yes.
And we had Boys the Men come.
Yes.
I love those galas and stuff.
Ray had a compound kind of like yours and Mike's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compound?
Yeah, that's what we
call
it.
about that. Alligators in there.
All right, let me see. There's two more I wanted to check out. Winning Time. Winning Time season 1 and season 2, very controversial, very entertaining. And this is entertaining. I highly recommend watching the Showtime documentary instead. it's actual real testimonials from the real people involved, including Pat Riley, LeBron, Kobe, Phil Jackson, you name it, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, the real stuff, Kareem. So yeah, it kind of went under the radar. Showtime documentary. I learned so much about the Lakers history in there, but this is going to be kind of funny, I think, because Winning Time pissed off everybody that they were portraying because it was a TV show. So I want to see how Pat feels, because I felt like they kind of got Pat right. Like Pat kind of became the star of the show in my mind by season 2. But let's see how he feels about it.
Whether we appreciate you spending this time.
We got to ask one
I'm
more.
good.
Before we let you go.
I got to ask him one more. Now,
right.
Coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of bullshit, and you might not agree with it. The Winning Time show. How you feel about that show?
Oh, the TV show?
Yeah, the TV show. Because it was something else on Hulu that was more accurate to the reality of the Lakers.
Yeah, what he's talking about right there is Showtime, the accurate documentary. But yeah, Winning Time, that's the TV show.
And I think it really had you speaking and interviewed you and really took
it was
the
more
thing
of a
on Hulu.
documentary.
Yeah, the one on Hulu. I watched both. I watched the one on Hulu, which was more of a documentary. It was more, I think the team was involved, the guys were involved.
Yeah.
It was more narrated heavily and involved with you guys. And then you had the HBO part of things. Yeah. So how did you really feel about that? Because I know that wasn't as accurate as most guys would say or think.
No, the HBO program of Winning Time, I would say it was probably 50-50. 50 theatrical and 50 with some truth. The characters were over the top. If they got one character right, maybe mine was right.
That's what I felt.
Adrian Brody he was a little off. He was a little unhinged, and so at times. But
Jerry West was really upset with his portrayal for one. Magic Johnson as well.
But it really did a disservice to that team and especially to Jerry West. Jerry West was nothing like they portrayed, even though the actor is great.
Yeah, Jerry West, he was like the comedy sidekick kind of thing. There's a better term for it. I'm drawing a blank, but he was kind of used for comedy because he was so angry all the time. You guys got to see it. If you guys, it's honestly, how often do we get a basketball show, you guys? I highly recommend you watch it regardless. It was very entertaining. 2 seasons.
But every dynasty, if you go back to the Celtics in the 60s and you read, Bill Russell's book, The Second Win, and he talks about all the things in that decade, it was eye-opening. And you can talk about the Showtime Warriors, in the 80s and Michael's teams. You just have to listen to The Last Dance and see how much conflict there is. There's always conflict.
Yes, there was.
It's never a smooth ride. And so I would say in the 80s, we had a great ride because we had the same mentality of players that we had with the Big Three. And I think with the Heat in general, is those guys really liked each other.
Yes.
They shared the same kind of music. All the wives were part of it, significant others. And while there was some days where things were swept under the rug and some real arguments and some disagreements, and that happens in families. And so we kept it close to the vest, really kept it tight. But to answer your question, the show was entertaining for people to watch, but it was a lot of half truths in it, and I'm glad it's stopped.
Yeah, I wanted you to get a chance to speak your truth on that. Yeah. And the last thing, before I go, I can't get out of here without asking you the greatness of Spo.
Yep, this is the last one I want to hear about too.
Considered, even though he coached me, like a brother to me. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you see the greatness?
Well, look at it was a hard decision. When I left, because there were a couple of guys there that were with me since the beginning, and one of the things as a coach that I never liked to do is meet. I didn't like to meet as coaches. We would meet and plan training camp and all of that stuff. I would do all the practices, and so I didn't need to meet. I wanted all the coaches, after a game to watch the film, and then to write down their notes and slide them under my door. And then I would take their notes, and I'd compile their notes, and I'd put them in my practice plan and everything. But I wasn't a big meeting guy, because when you get in coaches' meetings, you start arguing with one another, and I appreciate people's opinions, so I want them written down. I don't want to get into an argument with them. And so I'm always trying to find my peace, 5 a.m. in the morning. I got 24 donut holes from Dunkin' Donuts and a big 18-ounce gulp coffee. And I got a little light shining on my desk, and I'm writing my practice plan over and over and over again. And Spo used to, and I'd see the blue cards come under my door, and I'd read all of the coaches, and every year Spo's comments got better, deeper, more smarter, higher basketball IQ. I mean, the questions he was asking and the points he were bringing up, I said, this guy's got something going for him. When you're staring at a video of games, for 15 years, and you watch every aspect of what's going on the court, then you have a reservoir of knowledge. And so, when I decided that Spo would, and I said to Mickey, I said, I think Erik could be a good guy to do this, and let's go with it. It also was going to be 2 years where Dwayne was going to be MVP. We still had you. We had V's. And so he had 2 playoff years. And he got us in the playoffs 2 years in a row, and he was growing. And you guys were pulling Spo along as players, just like, Kareem and Magic and Worthy pulled me along until I got my feet under myself in 1984-85. And then the Big Three came. Mm-hmm. Was he ready for the Big Three? That was what I said when we got the Big Three. And that first year, from that standpoint, he was ready for that. So those 2 years of apprenticeship, I think, got him ready for the Big Three. And he's just turned out to be a great coach, a great communicator. And he's of a generation now that he understands. And I think you have to today to understand the nature of the contemporary player. I hate to use that. It's almost insulting to players to say you're a contemporary player. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm soft because I wasn't a tough guy back in the 90s or the 80s? And no. You've just been educated differently. You've been taught differently. There's an internet. There's social media. There's TikTok.
It's a different world.
Why does Nick Saban and why does Dick Bennett, or why do all these great coaches now leave college football? It's interesting what Saban said. He addressed Congress and about NIL and the portal and what's going on in college basketball, college football, and everything. And he said, I came in as a coach, and I really believe this as a coach, is that when I got a player, I wanted him to leave the university finished, as a finished product. Mm-hmm. He's either going to go in the NFL, and most of the guys at Alabama went into the NFL, and if he didn't go in the NFL, he was ready to be a lawyer. Or he was ready to be a doctor. He was ready to go into business.
Basically, he walking out of this college a man.
And he said, I can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. He said, I've lost the ability because it's a one and done thing. They're in a portal. They want more money. They go somewhere else. And so the great coaches are leaving the game because of their coaching purity of wanting to develop young men into great men. And so, that's my answer to the whole thing. What was your question?
No, I was just talking about the greatness of Spo. And did you see?
And that's Spo. Yeah. Okay, contemporary coach, and that's Spo.
That was awesome.
And so he has a great relationship with the guys. Today I was watching the film session after that night. The other night, it was not very pretty the other night, but he handled it perfectly. Yes. And guys are ready to go up to Charlotte and get our first win of the season. Yes. I hope.
Yes.
I'm going to end it right there. That's a cool way to end it. Wow. I think this might have been the coolest interview podcast type thing I've seen with Pat Riley. And I am really, really impressed how sharp he is. At his age, his brain is so sharp still. He had that one little blip at the end there where he forgot what the question was. But I got to say, I'm way younger than him. And sometimes during my tangents I go on when I'm reacting to something, I forget what the hell the point was, because I just went I started from one thing and I went to a whole other thing, and then I got really, really zoned in on that new topic. So he's very mentally healthy. That brain is very strong right now. Cool dynamic between these two. Like, it's just a lot of mutual respect between Haslem and Riley. I don't even know what to comment on, you guys. Like, I was just really, really happy to watch this and to hear all the respect given by both of these guys. I love hearing the Chris Bosh respect. The idea of manifesting a title. I was actually kind of surprised by his comments when it came to like not 1, not 2, not 3 thing. But I guess knowing him, that was kind of his flair, just not quite to that level. Now we know from the Dwayne Wade podcast with on the show, on the OG's podcast, apparently there was a lot of bad blood between Pat Riley and LeBron James for how LeBron left. But here we go. That was behind closed doors in the practices on the court. Nobody had access to it, but they both definitely remember it. And Pat kind of hated LeBron for a long time there. But you can just see what a class act Pat Riley is. He had the opportunity to say it, to say all kinds of negative things, but instead he went out with respect. And you know what? I gotta praise Pat for doing that, because whatever bad blood he feels or thinks, he's keeping it to himself at this point. And you know what? I gotta tip my hat off to that kind of behavior, because in that situation, I might do the same thing. Who knows? You know, he's still the owner of the Heat. He doesn't want any bad blood coming to his current team. And this is old news at this point. This is 10 years ago that this all happened and went down. So I don't know. All I gotta say, Pat Riley, the Godfather. It's so good to see him. I've been following him since he was the Lakers coach, all the way to his work in New York, to his work as a coach in Miami. And that lasted for a long, long time until he finally stepped down. And now him as just an executive. Big time fan of his. And actually my whole family, the guys in my family all kind of hated him. And I was the only one who was like, even when he was coaching the Knicks, and the Knicks were playing hardball against the Bulls, beating they were basically the bad boy Pistons round 2. Like, it was phase 2. He put the same strategies against Michael Jordan that the Pistons did, and they went out and played bully ball. Now, I didn't like the Knicks, but I still like Pat Riley, because I'm like, I respect this dude. Like, and that's the same Knicks that went 7 games against the Bulls. It worked. It worked as good as it could possibly work. They almost beat, like, the Chicago Bulls. But anyways, I'll go ahead and tap out with that. Thanks for watching. I have no idea how long it is, but I just wanted to react to this with you guys. I've been wanting to watch this one for a couple days now, so hope you guys found some enjoyment out of it too. Hope you guys learned a couple of things. I definitely did. Like I said earlier, the link to the original video is down below. If you haven't checked out the OG's podcast, I love this. I love this podcast. And if you haven't left my video a like yet, please do so. Helps out a ton. Get some more eyes on it. And like I said, I think this is the best Pat Riley sit-down conversation I've ever seen. So I'd love for it to get more eyes. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to take the rest of the day off after this one. I already feel like my voice is starting to give. So, all right. I'm out, everybody. I'll see you all in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Peace out. I appreciate you all. I'll see you soon.